Hey guys, didn't mean to start you first, but I'm starting you first anyway. Pop out the chat. All right. Now I'm going to close my window so I'm not looking at it. There we go. All right. Hello, everybody. Let me get close this. Get Discord going. Usually I start them. Sorry, I have to look around my camera, which is in the way. One moment. Hello. All right, here we go. Start event. All right. Because Discord takes cannot start an event that is active or completed? The hell does that mean? Oh. All right, there. That was weird. All right, hold on. Discord's a little bit of a pain because I have to launch it, close it, come back. I don't even remember what I called this one. I can't even remember. All right, go do your thing. Go. All right, 1 second here. Reconnect. All right. Events. Go to channel. There we go. All right, Discord, you're back. All right, Discord over on the screen. Good enough. Indeed, there we go. The dog ate my intel. Oh, yeah. That is a good one. That I did a TikTok on that one. But there was so much of today's news that was about the intel stuff, which is out of control, that it seemed appropriate. Crazy briefing today. All right, let me get TikTok going, and then we're good. The dog will want to come in because it's 91 out. Better than it's been, but still nice and cold or nice and hot. And then rain. So that's going to be fun. All right. And then someday I'll remember to do my voice exercises. That would be kind of nice. Dog? Hello. Come on. No, she's roaming. You want to come in? I don't know. Hello. Dogs can't decide if she wants to come in or not. Hello, TikTok. Hello, TikTok. La, 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 la. Hello, everybody. Hello. Early. Well, I'm early for being late. I'm early late today versus being late. Oh, there she is. All right. I didn't think you wanted. Come on in. Come. It's 91 out. Didn't really think you'd want to stay out there, but you wanted to try. All right. Dog wanted to try the sunlight. Said it's 91. You're not going to like this. All right. I'm doing the arm again just because Armageddon, because it helps to be up. So actually, I don't need the wrapping anymore other than to help with the swelling. I went to see a doctor today. All is well. But he did say it helps the swelling. So when I can, I put the bandage on. Anyway, welcome TikTok. Welcome YouTube. Discord. How's everybody doing today? How we doing on how is YouTube behaving today, by the way? Just to ask. Once again, I've got the picture minimized so I can't see myself, but I'm assuming it's okay. Hey, TikTokers. So good evening, everybody. YouTube's working fine. That's good. Well, it seems to work when I hide the image. Actually, I did change some settings too. I'm already forgetting. Great CFI, I guess. I forget your guys' code names was helping me sleuth some stuff, and we did find some settings that, in principle, made my computer a little faster. So that's good. Anyway, hey guys. So welcome everybody. I'm in a better mood than Pete Hegseth, that's for sure. So welcome guys. I'm John Aravosis. Bum hand, but getting better. It's wrapped up actually to help the swelling. The hand went to the doctor today. Hand is good. But we're going to talk about Ukraine at the end. There is some Ukraine news. We're going to talk about Iran. There's a good chunk of Iran news. All of it, not all of it, but a lot of it is just kind of bizarre. So we're going to talk about that. It's a little weird. And we'll go from there. But anyway, I'm John. And of course, my nose is itching because the show started, as always. The show is basically a longtime Washingtonian. Well, I'm a Chicagoan, but I've lived in Washington a long time, and I've been covering politics, working as a reporter, journalist, lawyer, political advisor, also working on Capitol Hill, World Bank, United Nations, all sorts of stuff. So I try to come on and help you guys understand the news as an insider's take on the news. But let's get rolling here. So welcome, everybody. It is Thursday, June 26th. Remember actually, that's right. That's Stonewall Anniversary Day. The weekend on Saturday at 11 a.m., we're going to have our coffee talk our coffee talk for TikTok. It's the show I do for the paid subscribers, the paid monthly subscribers on TikTok, Discord, and YouTube. So join us 11 a.m. Saturday. That would be nice. But let's get rolling here. So keep the gifts coming, guys. I do this for a living. So Pentagon. So the Pentagon held a briefing today. This was just crazy. And, you know, very North Korea in a way. Trump is very upset because Trump, like the second we bombed Iran, and as you guys recall, we bombed Iran. We were going after 3 main nuclear facilities, nuclear refinement facilities that take uranium and purify it to make it a bomb grade, to make it something you can use as a bomb. And Trump got upset because right after the bombing, Trump went public and said, we obliterated, it's gone. We obliterated the 3 sites. They don't exist anymore. And a lot of us said, well, how do you know that? Like, unless you literally dropped a nuclear bomb, you would not, I mean, a big one, you would not know immediately that you completely destroyed the site. You'd have to have satellite photos, lots of other intelligence. Oh no, Trump got very upset with everybody. I said it was obliterated. So then he got a Secretary of Defense. He got all the different Trump appointees. They use the same word. It's obliterated. He ordered them to say that. Well, they held a press conference today at the Pentagon because the Defense Intelligence Agency came out yesterday and said, wasn't really obliterated, did some damage, not enough, set the Iranian nuclear program back like 3 months. Not good. Now, that was only one agency. Different agencies can disagree, so that's okay. But the lesson here was the first assessment we got said, and there's going to be many assessments. Some of them are going to be wrong. But the first assessment we got said, we did not destroy the facility. It was damaged but not destroyed. The Iranians can use it again. And their program was only set back 3 months. So how is it that Donald Trump claimed that the attack obliterated the facility? And Trump literally said this weekend, a couple days ago, Iran will never be able to have a nuclear program ever again because of how much damage we caused. Not we're not going to let them have one. They literally will not be able to have a nuclear program because we caused so much damage. Well, okay, then which one is it, right? Let me go through this. So they held a briefing today, and at the briefing, the whole point of the briefing, what, now Discord can't hear? Well, no, here's a question for Discord, Dave. Are you the only one who can't hear? Discord people, can people on Discord hear? Because often it's like one person who can't hear, and then everybody else can hear. Oh, interesting. Oh, hang on. Let me see. Maybe I didn't turn did I not turn my camera on? No, I'm not. Oh my God, I didn't even set it. I'm losing my mind. Oh my God. That would be because I forgot to turn my camera on Discord, because I started YouTube first. I didn't mean to start YouTube first, but because I started YouTube first, I always start Discord first, then YouTube, then TikTok. So I did YouTube and TikTok and forgot about Discord. Okay. Thanks guys for pointing that out. So they hold the press briefing today at the Pentagon. The point of today's briefing is to convince everybody that we, as Trump's word, we obliterated these nuclear sites. Well, they didn't do that at the briefing today. It was about a half-hour briefing. Most of the briefing was Hegseth screaming at the media, saying the media was un-American. They hated our troops. And this was true, claiming that you hate America and you hate our troops if you're a reporter who asks how much damage the attack did. Literally, they particularly got upset at Fox News's defense correspondent. I think her name is Jennifer Griffin. She's very good. Jennifer Griffin, because she asked what happened to the uranium. She said, did the Iranians take the uranium before we blew it up? Oh my God. Didn't answer her question, which right there is an answer, by the way. If somebody asks you and says, did the Iranians get away with the uranium? Did they sneak it away and save it? And you lose it and scream at them and tell them they're a bad human, they hate the troops, and you don't answer the question, it suggests the Iranians got away with the uranium, right? Because you'd say, that's ridiculous. Of course they did. I mean, if this were true, you'd say that's ridiculous. Of course they didn't get away with it. He yelled and screamed at her and didn't answer the question. Guys, literally, there are two main questions. One is, what was the damage on the main facility, all the three facilities, but the main facility is the big one we're really worried about, this Fordo one. What was the damage? Did it get knocked out or not completely? And what happened to the uranium? Those are the two big questions. Anyway, he went nuts for half an hour. He didn't answer any of those questions. They didn't provide any additional intelligence. This briefing today was to push back on the Defense Intelligence Assessment. The intelligence agency inside the Pentagon did their own assessment. They determined that they believe not much damage was done, that the nuclear program was only set back 3 months. Others have said more damage. The Israelis think more damage was done. This briefing was to push back and say, no, a lot of damage was done. They had no additional facts to provide. None. Let me go on. The obliteration. Trump said it was obliterated. We obliterated the facilities, right? Hegseth today, Trump's defense secretary, says, this was great. Trump's claim, I'm going to paraphrase here. Trump's claim that the sites were obliterated was based on the capability of the weapons used. Trump's going to kill him. Trump repeatedly said the sites were obliterated. Hegseth said today, well, when Trump said obliterated, because they said, well, okay, what did he base that on if you don't have like intelligence? Well, he didn't base it on intelligence. Meaning he didn't base it on an actual fact. He based it on knowing how good the bombs are. We know the bombs are really good, so of course the site was obliterated. Do you get it? It wasn't based on, it was a gut feeling, exactly as Sammy said, gut feeling. It was Trump's gut feeling because the bombs are really strong. It wasn't actually any expert telling him, Mr. President, the site got obliterated. I mean, this is insane stuff. And for Hegseth to say, quote, and then here's the quote from Hegseth. No one's under there, meaning because the one site, Fordo, is 300 feet underground, 100 meters underground, right? In a mountainside. That's why they needed the big American bombs. No one's under there able to assess. Okay. And everyone's using reflections of what they see. That's why the Israelis, the Iranians, the IAEA, the United Nations, to a man and to a woman who recognize the capability of this weapon system are acknowledging how destructive it's been. He just said, well, no one can get down there, so we don't know what damage it did. No one can get down there, but everyone who's making, this is even scarier. I just had this epiphany. Everyone who's making an assessment, the Israelis, the United Nations, the Iranians, everyone who's making an assessment of what happened to that facility is basing it on recognizing the capability of the weapon system. So he just said that even the Israeli assessment that claimed much more damage was done isn't based on actually an assessment of what happened. It's based on, well, it's a really strong weapon, so we're just going to assume it destroyed everything. Here's why this, I'm going to go, there's more. I want to explain why this matters. This isn't a partisan thing. On TikTok, some of the commenters are like, you don't want us to win. I would be very happy if the entire facility is destroyed permanently. I would be very happy if Iran's entire nuclear program is destroyed permanently. I would like it to be. I am very much so. So no problem with that. I want Trump's attack to have taken everything out completely. So no problem. If it didn't, we need to know. If Iran's nuclear program has not been destroyed or not been set back significantly, we need to know. If this facility could be operational in a few months, we need to know, because then Israel goes in again or we go in again. I mean, that's what these assessments are about. You need to know. Sorry, move the hand over to the left a little bit for you guys. That's why we're asking these questions, because you have to have the damage assessment. Typically, a lot of times when the military goes in and bombs something, they need to do an assessment to determine, did they hit the target? And if they hit the target, how much damage did they do? Because very often they've got to go in a second time and hit again, maybe even a third time, to make sure they take out the target. That's why you do these damage assessments. It's not, and again, what Trump and the Secretary of Defense literally said today, well, actually my favorite, I see Edsel was here earlier, I see. Any of you military guys, my favorite was Hegseth goes, those pilots, they were very hurt. They were very hurt that people were asking questions as to how much damage their bombing did. And I'm sitting here going, yeah, sure. I'm sure all these 10 and 20-year military veterans are crying because somebody said, hey, you dropped some bombs in the facility. How did it go? And they were very upset. They were hurt. I think he literally said they were hurt. And you're like, the person who's demeaning our troops is not the person asking for the damage assessment. The person who demeans our troops is the person who says they were very upset and they were very hurt and it hurt them. They had a very hard time dealing with the fact that you asked a question about the damage assessment because you make them sound like a bunch of wimps. They sound like they're insecure wimps. Our troops are not insecure wimps. I think our pilots are big boys and girls. There was a woman. One of the B-2 pilots was a woman, at least one. They're big boys and girls, and they can handle. I'm going to guess if you're flying a B-2 pilot and doing bombings, you're a pretty tough piece of shit. You know what I mean? You know what you're doing. I'm not worried about your feelings. I think your feelings are probably doing pretty well. That would be my guess. Yeah, there was one woman at least, but I really do mean it. I think it's insulting to the military to even talk about them that way and to use them as a political prop. They're literally using the military to try to not explain whether or not, and by the way, guys, again, let's talk about dishonoring the military. You dishonor the military if you make them risk their lives for a bombing that you don't really care how it turned out. Right. And I mean, why risk your lives? Okay, let me go on there. There was more. Hegseth berated journalists for not giving the administration. Oh, this was great. He berated journalists at the press conference today, the Secretary of Defense, Trump's guy, the Fox News guy. He berated journalists for not giving the Trump administration the time they needed to make a full assessment. Okay, the bombing was last Saturday. Today is Thursday. He's saying we can't possibly know this early how it turned out. Okay, then why did Donald Trump say 6 days ago, that we obliterated the facilities? If we can't possibly know 5 days later, how it turned out, right? I mean, you get this whole, the craziness of what this guy was saying, right? Donald Trump said, literally right after the bombing, within minutes, we obliterate everything. Everything's destroyed. They can never build again. Today, 5 days later, Trump's people are saying, how dare you ask us whether we destroyed everything? It's too soon to know. Then why did your boss say 5 days ago that we destroyed everything? Oh, but there's more. Trump said earlier, remember Trump said a couple days ago that nothing was taken out of Iran's nuclear facilities. All the uranium was blown up and buried, and literally all of it, 400 kilograms, 880 pounds. It's all blown up and destroyed and buried, and Iran will never get access to it again. They told us this. Then the Defense Intelligence Agency said, we think Iran took some or all of it and got it away. So now there's a debate over that, right? Today, what the Pentagon, what Hegseth said, no, this was Caroline Leavitt, who's the blonde spokeswoman at the White House. So Trump says nothing, quote unquote, nothing was taken out of, this was today. I'm sorry. This was today. Trump today said nothing was taken out of those facilities. Not a bit of uranium. The White House spokeswoman says there was no indication to the United States that any of the uranium was moved prior to the strikes. Let me help you with this. Trump said earlier today, nothing was taken out. None of the uranium was moved. The White House spokeswoman said, we've had no indication that any of it was moved. Did you get the difference? Trump said, oh no, we know none of it was moved. She's saying, we don't actually know where it is, but we didn't see any proof that we didn't see it moved. We didn't see them moving it. We didn't see them moving it is a lot different than they didn't move it. It's still pretty good, and maybe it's the best you can do. But you get what I'm saying. Trump said, oh, it was there. Oh, but it gets better. It gets better. So now they're saying, so they're doubling down. And they're saying, oh no, it was buried under there. Iran is never going to get access to it, right? Well, the U.S. and Israel today demanded that Iran turn over all of its enriched uranium. If it was all buried and destroyed and Iran can never get their hands on it again, why would we be demanding that Iran turn over all of its uranium that they no longer have because they didn't take any of it and it all got buried and destroyed? And there's no way they can get access to it. Why are we demanding now that they return it to us? I mean, they're lying, guys. Again, this is what is bothering me with this entire thing. They're lying. Donald Trump is challenged when it comes to the truth. He doesn't think he needs to tell the truth. This is a problem we had in his first administration. Washington Post counted 30,000 lies, and I think they undercounted that Donald Trump made in his first administration. You all know this. He routinely lies. The thing is, his lies have consequences because we're dealing with Iran's nuclear program. The reason we attacked them is because, and I agree with the underlying reason for the attack. Again, I think Israel went too soon, but overall, I support the attack because Iran cannot be permitted to get a nuclear weapon. Iran was not building a nuke, but they were building towards a nuke. They were refining the uranium they needed to build a nuke, but they weren't quite assembling the bomb yet, okay? But they want a nuke. They're going to get a nuke someday, and we're going to have to stop them. So I'm on board with all of this. We need to know just how far along Iran is, just how far back we set them, whether Iran does or doesn't have uranium anymore, in order to know, are we safe or are we not safe? Do we need to go in again? Do the Israelis need to go again? That's why you ask these questions. You don't ask these questions because you don't like Donald Trump. That's irrelevant. I mean, some people probably do, right? But that's not the reason an objective person would ask. An objective person, whether they're military, journalist, or whatever, would want the answers to these questions because they are relevant to whether we are safe or not and how we make ourselves safe in terms of, do we need to go in again? Does Israel need to go in again? Or do we need to go in again in 6 months, in 6 years? But we need to know, okay? Some good news. Rafael Grossi, the Director General of the UN Nuclear Watchdog International Atomic Energy Agency, said the centrifuges at Fordo, the main site. Oh, thank you for the wings. Thank you, laddie. Appreciate that. The centrifuges at Fordo, Iran's sort of most important facilities, are no longer operational following the U.S. strikes. So that's good news. Another Trump lie that came out today. Do you remember? During Israel's attacks, before we got involved, Israel's attacking. I think it was over the weekend. I think it was that first weekend. And Israel's attacking Iran. And all of a sudden, Trump comes out, and I think he tweets and goes, I just stopped Israel from killing the Ayatollah of Iran. The supreme leader, Khamenei, they knew where he was. They were going to kill him. And I said, don't you do it. And I stopped them from doing it. Well, the Israelis came out today and said, no, he didn't. The Israelis came out today and said, the Israeli defense minister said, we had no opportunity to kill him, the supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, during the 12-day conflict. He said, quote, if Khamenei had been in our sights, we would have taken him out. He said in an interview with Channel 13 that aired today. So Trump lied about that one too. I mean, again, the president of the United States should not be lying about, in the middle of a war. First of all, in the middle of the war, he really shouldn't be saying anything about taking out the foreign leader. Here's the only thing I can think of is and I'm going to try to be generous for Trump here. If Trump and the Israelis worked out a plan that Trump was going to say, aha, they know where you are. And maybe they did. Trump was going to say, Ayatollah, the Israelis know where you are. They were going to kill you, but I stopped them. Maybe they did it because they were trying to scare him and they were trying to make him change from one bomb shelter to another. And by changing bomb shelters, because he would think, oh my God, the Israelis know where I am. By changing bomb shelters, you might actually find where he is. So I will give Trump this one, that maybe he wasn't. It was a lie, but it was a white lie. Maybe it was on purpose and it was part of a plot with the Israelis to flush out the Ayatollah. Maybe. Being Donald Trump, who knows? Who knows? I'm gonna give him a little bit of credit only because with this war in general, he did a lot of subterfuge in a good way, right? He tricked the Iranians into thinking he was going to wait 2 weeks, and he attacked anyway. There were a number. With the B-2 flights, he flew a couple of them west to make them think they were going to Guam and maybe Diego Garcia, and the other ones were going east that were really attacking Iran. So maybe. I don't think he's smart enough to do it, but maybe. The other issue, this is actually the last Iran update, and then we'll do a little bit of Ukraine. Trump called for corruption charges against the Israeli prime minister to be dropped. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu is under investigation at home for bribery and some other. I don't particularly care, so I didn't look into it too deep. But I've known this for years. Under investigation for corruption, bribery is one of them. And Trump literally came out and told the Israelis, "You need to drop the criminal charges against your prime minister because he did a very good job in this war. So it would be unfair to prosecute him for using his office and taking bribes because he did a really good job in this war." And it was just like, which actually isn't that the problem with Trump overall, isn't it? That Trump thinks it's okay to commit crimes if you're president. I mean, that's right. And that we should forgive criminals. Trump pardoned 1,500 domestic terrorists who tried to overthrow our government on January 6th. He gave them pardons. He even gave pardons to the ones that were convicted of seditious conspiracy, sedition, attempting to violently overthrow the government, convicted. He pardoned them. He got them off scot-free. Thank you for the encore clap, Carrie. So, Anyway, all right. We'll do a little bit of a Ukraine update. I'm happy to chat a little bit. We can chat a little bit about Iran first if folks want. And then I'll do Ukraine, and then we'll just open this up for discussion overall. When will this lunacy end? January 20th. I'm tired today. 2019, I think. Yeah. So, yeah, that's when it's all going to end. Not before then, though. Very bad stuff. Any questions or any comments, guys, or should I just move on with the Ukraine stuff and then we'll come back to this? I stream on YouTube and Discord at the same time to make it easy. 2029. Oh, did I say 2028? No, I didn't say 2020. I said 2029, didn't I? I meant to. 2019. Oh, that's funny. No, it's not ending 2019. Yeah. Yep. The hand is not worse. The hand is just wrapped up because I take it off and I wrap it up again. But the doctor said wrapping it up is good because it compresses it and helps to get the swelling down. No, the hand is actually doing much better. It didn't hurt today at all, which I was very happy. But I take this off occasionally so I can wiggle the fingers and stuff. All right, let me do a little Ukraine update, guys, and then we'll open this up. Trump, actually, good Trump news. Hey, I've got good Trump news from NATO. This is shocking. So Trump is on his way to the NATO summit and starts making weird comments about not supporting NATO. Article 5, if the Russians attack, maybe he will, maybe he won't support NATO. Well, he goes to the summit. He's very happy at the summit for two reasons. One, they pretty much agreed with his proposal to increase defense spending to 5% of GDP, which no one will be able to do. I mean, the polls might be able to do it. We won't be able to do it. But Trump got everyone to promise to eventually increase their defense spending to 5% of their entire economy on defense. Ours is what is ours? 2.6 maybe? I'm trying to remember what the American, 2.8%. Does anybody remember what ours is? It's not even, that's not true. We might be 3. The polls are higher. Are we 3? Is it? I'm trying to remember exactly where we are. I could ask Alexa. God, my Alexa's the dumb as a doornail, though. That's what I'm wondering if we're in 3. Alexa, what percent of GDP does the United States spend on defense? Yeah, what a surprise. She doesn't know that. What a surprise. Hey, Google, what percent of GDP does the United States spend on defense?
On the website WashingtonPost.com, they say the United States spends some 3.5% of GDP.
Oh, 3.5. Okay. Oh, 3.5. Okay. It's higher than I thought. Okay. Quiet. Okay, Google, quiet. Hey, Google, quiet. Oh my God, now he's telling me about Britain. He's as bad as Alexa. I asked about the US. He goes, Britain spends. Like, I didn't ask you about Britain. So 3.5%. That's actually quite good. The problem is 3.5%. Getting another 1.5% means almost like 40% more. How the hell are you going to spend 40% more? We're already spending $800 billion. We're going to spend another $400 billion. I mean, are you kidding me? Almost 900 billion. I mean, good luck. In any case, Trump was very happy because everyone promised they'll increase their defense spending, and they literally orchestrated this. All the leaders went up to Trump individually, one by one, to pay homage and tell him what an amazing job he did with Iran and this kind of stuff. And Trump loved it. And Trump said, these people really, Trump was like feeling the love here. These people really love their countries. These people, meaning the world leaders, the world leaders he's with. These people really love their countries. It's not a ripoff, and we're here to help. So he called in the daddy thing. That's true. He said NATO isn't a ripoff, because he used to say NATO was a ripoff. NATO's not a ripoff anymore. So the U.S. is here to help. He basically then he said that. Oops, did I have it on here? He then said that the U.S. He vowed that Russia will never attack the alliance during his presidency. Again, Trump, who hates NATO, again, he loves Russia, now vowed that Russia will never attack the alliance when I'm here. I mean, that's good, though, because it at least suggests maybe that if Russia were to attack, Trump would respond. I think Putin kind of has, sorry, my eyes are itching. I think Putin has kind of ruined things with Trump a bit here. He's really, Putin's been such a little, biatch about the Ukraine stuff that Trump's kind of had it with him. Very interesting, but just very interesting. Oh my God. Oh my God, I can even hear your accent. Some guy's got an American flag and he's not American. You're going, goodbye. I love when they do that. I enjoy that with the trolls too. I've got like a lot of trolls where I sort of play Name That Tune. And I guess like how many words before I can tell that they're not American and they're pretending to be Americans. It's always like, name that tune in 3 words. So Ukrainian drones, this was great news. Ukrainian drones struck Russia's S-400 air defense system in occupied Crimea. That's a big deal. The S-400 is their state-of-the-art, really big honking mofo that the Russians have. Very big deal. The Ukrainians say they damaged it. We don't know how much. This thing, I'm forgetting if it's $1 billion system, maybe $500 million to $1 billion. It's a huge system and hugely important air defense system. Ukraine, this was good news too. Ukraine has halted Russia's advance in Sumy Oblast, stabilizing the front line and blunting the momentum of Moscow's summer offensive. This is according to the commander-in-chief of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, Syrsky, quoted in the Kyiv Independent. Based on the results of May and June, we can say that this year's wave of the enemy's summer offensive from Russian territory is faltering. In the north and in the Kursk direction, we have once again pinned down about 50,000 Russian troops. That's good. The European Union has extended sanctions against Russia. Hungary blocked a European Union statement backing Ukraine's accession talks. And North Korea is likely going to send more troops to Russia by August, according to South Korea. So a little bit of Ukraine news as well. Where's Crimea? I know. I've got the map over there. Anyway, oh my God, my arm. I really hate doing this. I'm not enjoying this pillow thing with the arm, I must say. It hurts. All right, I'm going to try to move the arm a little bit. There we go. All right, so let's talk. Actually, I finished the news early today. We usually have so much Iran news, but there was a good amount, but not really that much. So good. Anyway, so yeah, let's hang and talk. Iran, Ukraine. There is still a ceasefire. Ceasefire is still holding. Andy, you're across from a big MAGA event? Oh, God. Yeah, Mike Lindell has a pillow for my arm. He probably does. I know. The map is over. The map is around. The map is right here. Oh, it's here. I forgot it was right here. Map is here. woo. See, it's the right direction too for you guys on TikTok. Crimea all the way down, down here by my wounded hand. That's Crimea. See, we got the map. When will the war end? That's a good question. I mean, Trump had talked about the war ending. Supposedly the deal was, supposedly the deal was the war would end 24 hours after the ceasefire went into effect. So if there was a ceasefire for 24 hours and nothing went wrong, supposedly that would do it. I don't know. But that's the deal. So I don't think the ceasefire has officially turned into the war is over. Maybe. The war is over, but still. Elise, it may not be swelling anymore, but it's swollen. And the doctors today said, yes, wrapping it up tight, but not tight, can help get rid of some of the swelling. Taking some NSAIDs, still doing some icing to try to get the swelling down the next 2 weeks. So, what else we got here? Sorry. We ever hear anything more about the Crimean bridge hit by the sea drone? No. The Ukrainians did an attack on the bridge in Crimea a couple weeks, maybe a month ago or so. And was asking Callum about this. Callum's one of our mods and friend and former British military explosive expert. Callum said, judging by the blast video he saw, that explosion did enough damage, or at least potentially did enough damage, that you would not use that bridge until you checked it out, because it could have easily done structural damage. The Russians didn't care, and they immediately started taking everybody across the bridge. They opened it up again because Russia's Russia. So who knows? The bridge could collapse someday. I mean, who knows? Oh yeah, Republicans. Well, Republicans are reacting to the New York City primary, calling him a communist, basically. I mean, he's a democratic socialist. He's a socialist. And actually he is this is the other thing too. In America, they like to use the term democratic socialists. They're socialists. First of all, in Europe, they're social democrats. They tend not to be democratic socialists. They're typically to the left of the Europeans on the socialism thing. But he's a socialist. He's a Muslim. From a Republican perspective, that's a lot of fun. His wife is Syrian, so they're not going to let up on him. So, in war, do you conquer land? What do you mean, Benji? Not sure what you mean by that. It's not the same as old school socialism, but it's also not European socialism. That's the problem with American socialism. American socialists tend not to be European socialists. Or if they are, they're far left European socialists. They're not social democrats. Anyway, I'm sure he's a nice man. Not my cup of tea, but I'm sure he's a nice man. I don't vote in New York, and I would not have voted for him, no. I'm not a big socialist fan. That wing of the party drives me crazy. I know they want to help people, and that's nice, but they drive me crazy. So, anyway, what else? I don't want to talk about the New York election. I care, but I don't care, I did see somebody posted on Twitter, which I think he claimed was real. He had some date with a woman in New York and he made a reservation at a restaurant with her. And she goes, oh, okay. She goes, hey, we're still on for 8:00. I made a reservation. She goes, yeah. She goes, okay, I'll be there at 8. She goes, oh, I guess I ought to ask, she goes, I guess I ought to ask. I just voted for, Mandami, the left-wing guy in the primaries in New York. And I'm really excited about it, but I wanted to make sure. How did you vote? And literally his response was he canceled the reservation. And I think he was telling the truth, but I don't blame the guy either, because I would kind of die if like in a primary, like I'm not going to go on a date with a Trump voter. No, but in a primary, like, you voted for Amy Klobuchar instead of Kamala Harris, and I'm going to cancel the date instead of Pete. I'm going to cancel the date. That's ridiculous. So but it was pretty funny. It was, again, he was acting serious enough that it seemed, and the woman was threatening him too. So he was actually asking for legal advice. So, I think it's ridiculous because come on. I mean, it's a Democratic primary. You don't like Cuomo, whatever, but it's ridiculous. This is not we're not talking Donald Trump. So, oh boy, Canadian man dies while in ICE custody in Florida. Globe and Mail. Oh, Globe and Mail is the Canadian one, though, right? Are they good, or is the Globe and Mail isn't tabloid, is it? I can never tell with these publications. Oh, of course, it's an article behind a paywall, but we can fix that, I think. Let's see. There we. Oh, nope. There we go. Hang on a second. Jeep. Oops. Hello. Oh, shit. Damn Discord. Hold on a second. Son of a bitch. I grabbed the wrong. There we go. Link. All right. There we go. Come on. Okay. I'm going to get very annoyed with this. Here we go. All right. All right. So I'm trying to pull up this article from the Globe and Mail. I'm sorry. So do we are they tabloid or no? So Globe and Mail, they're not tabloid. Right here. U.S. immigration has confirmed that a Canadian citizen died while in custody in Florida. Oh, God. Johnny Noviello, 49, was pronounced dead by the Miami Fire Rescue Department. Cause of his death is under investigation. Agency said he was found unresponsive, and medical staff immediately began administering CPR. Was being detained at the Bureau of Prisons pending deportation proceedings. It said he entered the U.S. in 1988. Oh, my God. He'd been here 40 years, 35 years? Dear Lord. With a legal visa and became a lawful permanent resident in 1991. He was convicted of a number of charges, including drug trafficking in 2023. Sentenced to 12 months in prison. ICE arrested him at the Florida Department of Corrections, issued a notice to appear, and charged him with removability. Okay, so we don't know why he died. Okay. I have very little sympathy of somebody who's a drug trafficker getting kicked out of the country. I certainly don't want them killing him. But I don't like stories like this. I really don't, because I've worked on a lot of civil rights issues, and this is not who you want to hang your hat on if this story is true. This is not the guy you want to be telling people, voters in the middle, that you're very upset that the drug dealer, got in trouble. No. I mean, I'd want to know the whole story, but this does not sound like a good story. I would warn people against this story. If you were pro-immigration, this is not the story you want. It's terrible if they killed him or whatever, but yeah. Well, it's unclean hands question. I mean, you don't want to be defending drug traffickers if that's in fact. Now, mind you, you'd also want to know, what does that mean? Are they calling him a drug trafficker because he had more than X amount of, actually, we don't even want to talk about this topic because TikTok doesn't like it. You know what I mean? Is the quantity he had that they're calling him a trafficker? I'd want to know more, but it's not, it is still inhumane, and it's a story that is a loser. Yes. I am a public relations expert when it comes to politics. This is not the story you hang your hat on, because you all are going to feel bad, and voters in the middle who aren't sure are going to go, are you kidding me? You're defending that guy? Wrong story to be using if you're using the story to advance your cause. Bad story. Just telling you. Doesn't mean I'm glad the guy's gone, but very bad story. Yeah. Well, this is an issue with civil rights overall. You always pick the not prima donna, but you pick the most perfect story, the most perfect angel when you're doing civil rights issues, because you want the public to go, oh my God, I like them, right? They're black, they're gay, they're Jewish. I like them, right? And it makes them more sympathetic across the board. You don't want somebody with unclean hands, as we say in the law. Yeah, it is inhumane, but I would not use the story to try to advance the cause. That's my point. That's my point. So, you know. Oh, that's fine. I forgot about that, Manana. Rosa Parks was picked to not move her seat. I didn't remember that, actually. Was that true? There is a ceasefire at this point. Yeah. Yeah. You're just getting the notice, Dana. Well, 45 minutes in. Hey, we take what we can get from TikTok, you know? We take what we can get. But what do you do? What do you do? Anyway. Yeah. Yeah. Bottom line is, this is not the story you should be using if you're using it to try to win the immigration issue. That's my point. If you're using it because you think it's horrible what happened to the guy, great. I'm all with you. But if you think this story is going to help you on the immigration issue, you're actually hurting yourself on the immigration issue. That's my point. That's my point here. So the hand is trigger finger, had surgery. It's much better so far, but I have it wrapped up because the doc said keep wrapping it as much as I want because it'll help get some of the swelling, because it's swollen to get. It's not swollen badly, but it's still swollen, to get some of the swelling down. So I'm still icing it, and then I do this several times a day. Hold it up above my heart, so it kind of, like at night, I've got to put it on a pillow, which is really annoying in bed. So, so it helps. I mean, we're going to go 2 weeks and then I see the doctor again. And then we hope I'm able to bend my finger. All the next 2 weeks, I'm practicing bending my finger. We shall see. Israel didn't win. Since when? Somebody just said I was wrong when I said Israel was going to win. Israel destroyed Iran. You are kidding. Oh, Greek visa, kind of interesting. I've been looking for a Greek passport. Interestingly, and God bless the Greeks. I'm proud to say. I got just since we finished a lot of the substance now. I've been trying to get the Greek passport because I like the European passport, maybe retire someday, who knows? And also just from a pride, I'm Greek, from a pride perspective, and it's been living hell. 15 years I've been trying to do this. They can't find the right documents. My mother's documents back home. Anyway, I ended up writing to my grandfather's town. It's not a village, but it's 40,000 people. It's not huge. And I literally found an email online for the city government and wrote them. And I said, I am the son of this woman. She was Greek. She was born. Here's my mother's birth certificate. Here's my mother's passport. Here's my birth certificate. Could you possibly look and see if you can find a record of my family? And they wrote me back and said, yeah. Well, the thing is, they don't have my mom's record, but they've got her dad. And I was like, okay, this is new because it's been 15 years the Greeks have been trying to find this stuff. And the embassy keeps asking, they keep saying, oh, we don't have any records at all of your family. And I'm like, there's no records of my entire family's from Greece. I'm like, there's no records of my family anywhere in Greece. Really? Like, what, did they disappear? Well, some nice bureaucrat in this, town of 40,000 people in Greece got my email and decided to look for my grandfather's records. Mind you, he's born in the 1880s, right? They went and found his records. So I wrote them back, and I'm thinking I'm asking too much. And I wrote back and I said, well, I had ChatGPT do the letter, of course. And I said, and I love ChatGPT because I was like, I said, be polite, be business. I said, be professional, because this is Greece. It's a government official, but it's, in a city. I said, but be effusively thankful. I want them to know how thankful I am from the heart. And I love that you can give it those instructions. And I said, is there any way I can get a copy of his? And I said, because it's hard to explain, but in Greece, there's this family registry thing that you have to get a passport. The Demotologio, it's called. And I was like, can you get me a copy of the Demotologio or whatever? I said, and his male registry, because men have to register. Somebody, I think, just said that I'm one of they registered the men. Christine just said, there's a male registry. I said, and is there any chance you can look to see if you can find my grandfather's birth certificate? Mind you, he was born in the 1880s. 2 or 3 weeks passed. I forgot about it until today. I got an email this morning. Good morning. They sent me a certified copy. Like they notarized it. It's an email, but still, they notarized an official copy of my grandfather's birth certificate from the 1880s, my family history, which is the family history document, very important, and the mail registry, which could help too. And again, this was some government bureaucrat in Greece in a small town who got my email and just wanted, and mind you, I guarantee you they had to go to the files and look. There's no way the records from 1880, I don't think, have been computerized in Greece. Anyway, so that happened today. I was very excited, very excited. So we're going to see, I'm still waiting for the Greek embassy to get back to me and tell me, okay, is this enough? Because currently we were missing the family registry, which the Greeks do. It's very important in Greece. If you don't have the family registry, you're not getting citizenship. We found the family registry, but my mom's not listed. So now it's an interesting middle territory. So now I've got the proof about my grandfather being a Greek citizen officially, but anyway, so I wrote to the Greek embassy guy today, again, hadn't heard back from him, and said, okay, is this enough? I'm expecting, being Greek, I'm expecting the worst, meaning I think also like we have a darkness in us. I'm expecting them to go, oh, that's not going to work, but let's see. I just am blown away that some local email to a local city official in Greece that not only they helped me the first time, but they went back and got notarized. I just wanted a copy of the documents. They went and they got me notarized copies of all 3 documents. I was like, that was incredibly nice. And I didn't pay for it. Anyway, very sweet, very sweet. So that restored my faith in humans for today, which was very nice. So anyway, but we'll see, because, mom's documents, they still may want mom's documents. And I mean, we've got a lot of them, but we don't have the family registry mom's registry in the family registry. So exactly. It'll never be enough. That's my fear, but we shall see. But this was, literally 15 years of them telling me this document didn't exist. And I was like, come on, there's no documents for any of my family members anywhere in Greece. Really? Like, we go back, 2,000 years in Greece. There's no documents referencing my family on any side. So what happened was nobody wanted to try until this guy, I think. So anyway, so what else? Beep. What else, guys? Oh, I agree, Jason. I agree with you, but you get what I'm saying. What else, guys? Anything else? We can always quit early-ish because I'm still trying to be nice to the voice. Yes, this is my dinosaur shirt. I still may have to find a Greek attorney, but so far this could be a breakthrough. So we'll see. I still think we're officially in a ceasefire. I think we are. I do not think I don't know how you transition from ceasefire to war being over. Let's ask ChatGPT. Let's ask. Is the war between Israel and Iran officially over, or is it still a ceasefire? And if so, when does it end? All right, let's see what it says. I think it's still a ceasefire. The war between Israel and Iran is not, this is ChatGPT, so, take it with a grain of salt, is not officially over. What exists now is a phased ceasefire, not a permanent peace agreement. Ceasefire agreed went into effect June 24th. Both nations have observed the truce. While the ceasefire is still holding, it's considered fragile. Occasional reports of minor violations. No extensions or end beyond date has been formally declared. That's what I thought. They're kind of. My guess is the dog wants water. Let me get the dog. Oh. Do you want water? Or are you begging for food? I think you're begging for food. I know you. I'm going to give her some water anyway, but she's begging for food, my little lying dog. One moment. Because she's looking at me. This isn't the water look. This is the food look. There. Water. Get away from me. So, God. I have the smartest dog in the world, and she's the little manipulator. And I can tell because when she wants water, she points at the bowl. When she wants food, meaning just a treat, she makes the same noise, but when I look over, she's not looking at the bowl. She's looking at me. It's like, did they? I don't know about that, Sergey. Did they? About C4? I don't know about that. I'm very curious, though, what they did. I can Google it, but I'm not familiar with that. Let me see. Iran does not have nukes. No. Iran would like to have nukes. Auctions, yes. I do need to get the auctions going. That I do. You've got to see my entryway. I have so many. Hey, Thessaly, I did see that you mentioned you had 104 degrees today. Let me see. Ukraine, C4, binoculars. Let's see. No, I'm not seeing any stories, I don't think. Oh, well, there's a story in Euro. Oh, this is from February. There's a story from February. Sergey, is there a new story on this? January and February of this year, approximately 80 sets of binoculars were reportedly sent to Russian military units by volunteer organizations. Oh, my God. Hang on. A series of explosions of first-person view goggles. This is February this year, though. Rigged with explosives has injured at least 8 Russian drone operators across multiple regions. Ukrainian intelligence agencies have not officially commented on the operation. The operation resembles what Israel did with the walkie-talkies and the pagers against Hezbollah. Between January and February 2025, various Russian military units received approximately 80 sets of Sky Zone Cobra first-person view drone goggles. I guess like goggles you use to direct a drone, as donations from several volunteer organizations. However, all shipments reportedly came from the same anonymous donor who provided the equipment as humanitarian aid for Russian drone operators. I have to do a video on this, even though it's an old story. This is crazy. This is crazy. Earlier, multiple Russian sources alleged that the plot was discovered before any devices were activated. Dosia Shpionya says the first explosion occurred on February 4th in Belgorod when a Russian serviceman activated his FPV headset. The detonation resulted in severe facial and eye injuries. Over the next 3 days, from 4 to 7 February, 7 additional explosions took place. Investigators discovered that each pair of FPV goggles contained C4 explosives, a detonator, and a concealed battery. The explosive device was wired to activate once the internal cooling fan was switched on, making the sabotage almost undetectable before use. Oh my God. Oh my God. I may do a video on that anyway, even though the story's from a couple months ago. You people are crazy. I love the Ukrainians. This is why I said the Ukrainians are like Israelis. I've said this long before. That the Ukrainians are like the Israelis in terms of very smart, very crafty, and don't F with them. Do not F with them. They will get you, and they will find you, and they will hunt you, and they will get, revenge is a dish best served cold is an Israeli and a Ukrainian adage, I would say. Wow. That is wild. I've got to see, though. I've got to make sure I do the video and I'm not laughing, because if I do the video and laugh, I may get into trouble on TikTok. We do not want a regime as dangerous as the Iranians to have nukes. No, I agree with you, Seth, 100%. And what I was telling people, even when Israel was first attacking, is I think that Israel attacked early. Yeah, it was Cersei, exactly. Tell Cersei it was me. I think that Israel attacked too soon because we were still negotiating. It wasn't clear that Iran was making that final step towards building a nuke. They were clearly preparing the uranium for their nukes. There's no reason to process uranium to the degree Iran did. Literally, the only reason you would process uranium, refining it to the degree the Iranians did, is because you plan on building a nuclear bomb. So they were going to get there someday. But it was early, and I'm not thrilled about doing it early just because you have a little bit of a harder justification to say self-defense if the other guy wasn't very far along, in a sense. Having said that, eventually we would have to stop the Iranians either by negotiations, and the Obama negotiations were quite effective. Trump pulled out. But we would have to either do it via negotiations or militarily. So absolutely positively. My only issue, like I said, is I think the Israelis did it a little early, and Trump pulled out of the Obama deal that was working. So, so that's the Klingon, exactly, the Klingon dish. Revenge is a dish best served cold. Exactly. Ricardo Montalban. Montalban. See. Anyway, exploding goggles. Oh my God. I'm glad you brought that. Was that Sergey or who was that brought that? Was hysterical. Oh my God. Anyway, what else, guys? Anything else? We can quit early. Not going to be the end of the world if we quit early. My voice will be happy. Oh, tribbles. Yep. Sorry. Big ugly bill. Nothing on it right now. No. How do you determine something's working? It depends. What do you mean? What exactly do you mean, super secret? Sorry, I'm making you yawn again. Sorry. Thank you, Elizabeth, for the gifts. Thank you, Patrick. Keep the gifts coming, guys. I've not done a big gift push today. Please do get some gifts in. I appreciate it. They pay the bills. Yeah, I saw that Iran dismissed the U.S. bombings. I mean, well, Iran has been playing both ways. Iran said, you did serious damage to our nuclear facilities. And then they said, you did nothing. To save face, they have to say, you did nothing. But to save themselves from being bombed, they can't really say you did nothing. That's why they said, oh my God, look what you did to our facilities, because they don't want to get bombed again. So I would not really trust what you gifted despite disagreeing half the time. Give half a gift, Daniel. I don't mind have a gift. Thank you. I appreciate that, Daniel. Thank you. No, because that's the spirit I like. That's why I tell people, like, I don't mind people disagreeing. Just don't be rude. That's like the cardinal rule with all of this. Like, I think that's also why, like, I've done a ton of television and I really didn't enjoy a lot of it because I would always get asked on TV to debate someone, but it was always to debate someone nasty. Like, initially it was a lot of gay rights stuff. And I was just like, really? Because, like, you literally had to get on TV with people who said, like, I can't even say what they were saying because TikTok literally would pull it out of context and ban me, but saying horrific things about gay people. And, like, you're there. That's not a fun thing to go on national TV and explain you don't take advantage of children, right? It's obnoxious to have to even say that. And even on the Republican Democrat thing, like, I wanted to go on TV and discuss issues like we're discussing here. I want to analyze it. I don't mind somebody saying, well, but John, what about this? What about this? That's fun to me. What I don't want is, well, no, typical Democrat, but that kind of angry back and forth, I hate. And I did a lot of CNN. I did a lot of MSNBC, a lot of stuff. Almost always I would go on for that. And I hated it. I just hated it. Because it's just nasty. And I actually turn off CNN whenever that comes on, whenever they have the Republican versus the Democrat guest. And I'm like, oh, it's always stupid. I mean, you don't learn anything. I don't think I ever learn anything when they do those weird Republican versus Democrat debates on the news. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, no, get me two experts. I don't want to hear. Because also, guess what? The Republicans going to defend the Republicans and the Democrats going to defend the Democrats no matter what. So why do I want to watch? What am I learning by watching that? Whereas two experts who might disagree, that's interesting, right? Even like Israel or the war. If you get me two experts about nuclear stuff and whether this helps and hurts, that's interesting to me. What isn't interesting to me is somebody who likes Israel and somebody who hates Israel, let them debate each other. Ugh. I've never liked that kind of animosity debate stuff. I went on Fox News a lot. They would do it too. I just hated that stuff. I went on Fox News against Rick Grenell. That was exciting. He was Trump's director of national intelligence, our ambassador to Germany, and now he runs the Kennedy Center. Lovely human being, one of the most angry human beings on the planet. But going on with Rick's another one who just has to, like, I met him at a dinner party. We have a friend in common, met him years ago at a dinner party, and I knew who he was, gay Republican, I'm not impressed at gay Republicans who work for bad people, but whatever. But wasn't going to say anything. And I was like, oh, hey, Rick. I said, oh, nice. Always wanted to meet you, whatever. And he responded and made some crack about Democrats or something. And I was like, kind of looked at him, and he did it over the dinner table too. He made some crack about me and Democrats at the dinner table. This is like a dinner party. And I just was kind of like, okay. I didn't say anything because I like channel my mom when I'm in those situations. I always think like, what would mom do? Because mom was always very good about, not being pushed around, but at the same time, the politesse. And I know mom would have been like, you're at someone's house for dinner at a dinner party, you let it go, but not Rick. Rick had to be like Democrats. And I was like, okay, whatever. But he's not a nice man. Again, he's like a lot, but he's like a lot of the Trumpers, right? He's like the blonde woman at the White House who does their briefing, that crazy guy who runs the comms, the Chung, the Asian American guy who's just angry. I mean, they're all so angry. But I mean, like congenitally angry, Thank you, Blue Ariel. And thank you, Yoga, as well. I wasn't going to leave. It was a dinner party. And I mean, I was friends with the host. I mean, it wasn't like he blew up the whole table, but it was just like the occasional nasty comment like that. And you're just like, okay, I mean, had he kept on, I would have finally said, Rick, this is a dinner party at someone else's home. Maybe we shouldn't do personal attacks and things at the table. I would have said that. I would have said, I don't think this is the appropriate place for it. It's kind of disrespectful to the host and the guests. I might have gone that far, except I wouldn't want to put the host on the spot to then be like, what I mean? But it was weird. It was very weird. Anyway, Rick Grinnell, he was our director of national intelligence. He was Tulsi Gabbard and was also our ambassador to Germany, and they hated him. Oh my God. I do know what you need to get, Crystal, but it's complicated. If your dad is from Greece, you're in a much better position. If your dad's from Greece, you're in a much better position. What's your nationality now? Basically, you've got to go to the Greek consulate, the consulate that covers wherever you are. Oh, you're U.S. Okay. Depending where you live in the U.S., there's 5 Greek consulates, 6, I don't know. Could be Philadelphia, could be New York, could be Chicago, could be DC, could be San Francisco, whatever. You find the consulate that covers your area, and you literally reach out to them, and they will tell you exactly what you need. They'll tell you what you need. But, your dad, you're going to need, your dad is from Greece, though, so it might be easier for you. But you're probably still going to need, your dad's birth certificate, maybe your dad's city registry, family registry. I mean, probably, but they'll request it themselves. Your dad will know what it is. Like, your family has to be registered, but it should be pretty easy if he lives there. And the thing is, he's alive and he's Greek, so he can register if he hasn't. But it should be pretty easy. The consulate can tell you, but I think for you, it'll be pretty easy. For me, it's a little harder because my mom immigrated. So she was 8 years old when she came here. So it was harder to get stuff. Yeah. Oh, you're going to Greece this week? Oh, nice. Nice. Yeah. When you come back, contact or even now, email or call the consulate. Probably just call. I would look at the website and give them a call, or email if they, whatever they recommend. So, you probably won't be able to get stuff in Greece necessarily. You might need stuff in Greece, but I think if your dad's Greek right now and lives in Greece now, then you're probably okay. There's a process, but it shouldn't be terrible. Yeah. I know. I love my dino shirt. I got this on Amazon. I love this shirt because it's an Amazon, it was cheap. It fits ridiculously nicely. It's a nice fitting shirt, and it's like a cheap Amazon shirt, but it's cute because it's like dinosaurs. I love this. There was a little Ukraine news. We talked about it earlier. There's no earth-shattering news today anywhere, really. It was decent news though. Trump is being nice to NATO. But I know it's red, which I like red, but it's a pretty and it's a fun shirt. I don't know if I have a favorite dinosaur. I like dinosaurs though. But I've always kind of, I don't know. I like ever since I was a kid, I like brontosauruses, which we always talk about this every time it comes up. I think they've got a new name now. I always forget. I can't help yawning. The yawning thing is funny. I remember I had bosses at work. God, I hated people like this. Bosses at work who, when you yawn, would say, "Are we boring you?" I kid you not. And I should have done it, but I should have actually memorized and gone, yawning is like a, autonomic nervous system kind of thing. It's not something you do. It's like breathing. Or sneezing. It literally is something your body does. But I literally should have told the guy and said, actually, yawning has nothing to do with whether I'm interested or not and whether you're interesting or not. It's something your body does, probably lack of oxygen or too much CO2. But it was just the rudest thing. And but I really, a part of me wanted to go, so I'm a little confused as to why you said that, because do you actually think a yawn is based on my relative lack of interest? You think that? And just embarrass the hell out of him. Because it's so freaking, diabetic, that's it. I should have said that too. And it can be caused by physical ailments as well. So it's kind of rude. Because are you asking me, like, if I were diabetic, are you asking me if I'm diabetic? But no, but it's true. You can't control yawns. But it was so rude. Are we born? And I think he even said like it's rude. And I'm like, I think at that point I might have said, well, it's not something you control. Like, very weird. Very weird. It can be sleep apnea. It can be lots of things. Yeah. Yeah. But I loved it. It was just it was the rudest thing, God. Anyway, no, because I yawn a lot, but I also know why, because the dog wakes me up early. And then today the dog woke me up. She had to go out. And then I made the mistake of checking my email while like taking the dog out. And then I saw Grease wrote me and I was like, holy shit. And then that woke me up. And then I tried sleeping and I said, oh, forget it. So you have a Garrick t-shirt? Amazon has a Garrick t-shirt? Oh, that's hilarious. From Deep Space Nine. That's hilarious. Oh my God. Wow. Dog's in bed. Yeah. That ship has sailed. The dog's been in my bed for 15 years. She's not leaving now. That's for sure. But yeah, I am yawning today, but she got me up at like 6:00. And then I made the mistake of checking my email. And I even thought about it. When I checked my email, I thought, I should not be checking my email. I'm going to like see something that's going to wake me up. And what do you know? It woke me up. So what do you do? It's all right. Oh, that sucks, Paula. Anyway. I always cover the Trump stuff. Yeah. I mean, Ukraine, because the Ukraine news kind of died back. We used to do 100% Ukraine news, but there isn't as much war news now. So now I always start with the Washington news, Trump news, and or anything big international, like, obviously Israel and Iran or any other big international story. We tried covering Israel and Gaza, but people got too upset. So we stopped covering that because that's a crisis. That's an issue you can really never cover. Like, people just are obnoxious about that topic. For decades, I've said this, and I made the mistake of trying to cover it. And I was like, I'm never doing that again. So sorry, but the word on Elon Musk is one of his best friends in AIDS, top aides at Tesla, just quit. And the word is Elon fired him, but the guy says he quit and apparently had a falling out with Elon, but he was like one of Elon's closest advisors in AIDS and whatever. So I don't know, something happened. I'm not sure what. Domestic. Yeah, I cover domestic affairs too. It depends though. It just depends what. Yeah. Part of the problem is, and although this hasn't been too bad, when I was covering Ukraine, people were asking if I was going to, cover other American news or other world news. And my only concern is I can't be an expert on everything. I can mention stories, but I can't have an opinion on every story. I mean, I'm good, but I'm not that good. And I certainly don't want to give an opinion on stuff like somebody was asking me a couple of months ago, people were asking about some African countries. And I was like, I have no knowledge of anything going on with those countries. You know what I mean? So I couldn't even tell you. Right. So that's my only concern on some of the news. Like, I could report stuff, but I couldn't discuss it because I just don't know. Whereas, again, I know Washington and I know politics and I do know foreign affairs. So if I delve into a topic, I often have some insight, but I still would have to get my feet wet and kind of go, okay, what's going on? Like in a region, but in regional politics is hard though. Like Africa, I can't just learn something about an African country that I'm not familiar with. I mean, that's, I could try, but well, I guess if we go to war with an African country, I don't have a choice but to learn, right? So, I don't comment on the Kardashians. I've never even understood the Kardashians. I really don't. I don't like, other than really weird bodies. I'm like, I don't get it. I don't understand what their story is. Eres Mexicano. Hola. But Orban, I think Orban would be very happy in 1970s Hungary being a communist dictator. I fear that he would like that. So, unfortunately. And the dog is back in her bed. We didn't get to do much of a walk today. Maybe, well, it's 90. See, but it's still 90 out. That's the problem. Ugh. Not good. So, all right, guys, I think I'm going to call it quits because we're now at an hour 15. I like to sort of not go too long because of the voice thing. So I'm going to hang up. Thank you for joining us. The hand, I got trigger finger and I had surgery the other day. It doesn't really need to be wrapped up, but the doc said wrap it several times a day to do compression because it's swelling a bit from the surgery, and the compression, actually I should be holding it up too. The compression will help to get rid of the swelling, but trigger finger, Google it. I had it. It's better, but they've got to cut into your hand and do stuff. So it's going to take, although it's not hurting. I'm shocked that it's not hurting anymore. And surgery was Monday. So that I'm very happy about that. I think the surgery was Monday. Was it Tuesday? I don't even remember now. What day was my surgery? Oh, it was Monday. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, so I do the Queen wave, but I probably will take this off and ice it in a minute. Yours went away. It can go away. I gave it like 2 years to go away. Did the injections, the whole deal didn't work. So, but I'm going to ice it after the show because I'm trying to still icing it sterile. And I'm now practicing bending the finger, which is really hard. Actually, I'll even take it off now because I can, because like I said, I'm going to put ice when we're done, but it's, there's nothing to see. It's, there's a Band-Aid, so it's not bad, but they do an incision right here because this is the bad finger. They do an incision right here and they open up the area so the tendon can move because basically your finger goes down and then it gets stuck. You open your hand and the finger gets stuck and then let's go. But the problem now is we tested today. I can't bend my middle finger. Like I can bend all the rest of these. The middle finger gets stuck around there, which isn't bad, but it's not perfect. And I can't yet go up all the way with the middle finger. So although this is the first day we've tried to move it, so it's not terrible, but it hurts. It not hurts. It just, So he said 50-50 chance that I may have to go for physical therapy in 2 weeks, but we're going to try. No, he told me stretches. Every day I've got to practice standing it up and practice going down. Well, except in the next 2 weeks, I've got to try to get it that I can close entirely. Although this is pretty good considering I hadn't done anything like this. Although going up is the really hard one though. Anyway. Okay. I'll stop practicing with you guys. All right. I'm going to finish. Good to see you guys. It's not hurting. It hurt the first 2 days hurt. Not terribly, but they hurt. It's not hurting now, thank God. So I'm very happy. The bandage probably isn't helping. He put the bandage on there. I'm going to leave the bandage till tomorrow. And then, the bandage is more just to keep it from like hitting stuff. Because I grabbed something today and I realized I was like, oh God. So, but you're right. The bandage is probably stopping a little bit too, I suspect. Tomorrow I'll put a regular Band-Aid on, which will bend more easily. Anyway, thank you guys. All right. The Kardashians. I know. Actually, that would be funny to do a Kardashian t-shirt, but about the Kardashians. That I would like. All right. Have a good night, guys. Thank you. I'm going to sign off. Thanks for the gifts. Thanks, mods. Let me, Discordians. Sorry about the hiccup originally on Discord. That was actually rather funny. Oop, Discord. All right, bye, Discord. Yep, there we go. YouTube. Oh, YouTube, I think I've got to actually open the other thing. There we go. All right, bye, YouTube.